ladies, and welcome back to our third series of Mix It Up with CrossFit. I'm Callie, this is Jay. Jay is going to take us through some HIIT cardio today.
Yeah, so we're going to go through some good old-fashioned conditioning.
Yeah, do you say HIIT cardio?
I don't.
Okay,
no.
So that's like a bodybuilding fitness thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So conditioning.
Conditioning, yeah, I think we talk about conditioning a lot, and not to kind of geek out on it from the sake of just time, but if you think about conditioning, you have long slow distance, right? And everything comes down to stress response, as you know. So if you're trying to create change, whether it's hypertrophy, whether it's power, whether it's strength, you have to create stress. If you're trying to improve your conditioning, you have to also increase stress. So from people who are sedentary, for the listeners or viewers who don't have a lot of experience doing conditioning work, then when they do this stuff, the best effect for them might just kind of be movement. 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes of just slow movement. The fitter you get, the less that does. So yeah, if you want to get into a fat burning zone, then you take the intensity down to do that. But if you're trying to create some sort of aerobic response and conditioning component, you got to create stress in that environment. So what we're going to look to do for this sake is add stress in just a different fashion. And that's something that we talked about over the past two videos. We had time priority, we had task priority. And now from a conditioning standpoint, we'll talk about it being whether it's distance training, so sometimes our athletes would say we're gonna go on like a 45 or 60 or 90-minute run, maintaining heart rate of 65 to 70% of your max, right? Or we might do what's called maximum aerobic power work. So maximum aerobic power work means you're gonna work at a certain percentage at a varied intensity. So shorter time frame, higher intensity, longer time frame, a little lower intensity. And then rest time. So it's kind of like a work to rest ratio. For the goal of having your work time be at a high enough intensity where we can increase your anaerobic threshold.
Okay.
And so from a conditioning standpoint, that's going to allow you to work at a higher intensity for a long amount of time. So that's going to be so we're going to do a variation of that today. And again, just like we talked about in the last video, there's 100 ways you can do it. We're just going to show one.
Okay. Now those of you that just listened to what Jay said and you're already like, yeah, I'm scared and I'm not watching the rest of this video, it's okay, don't worry. The majority of my cardio is steady state. So yeah. I don't really have a lot of stress involved in my cardio. So anything we do here is going to be really hard for me too, but I'm definitely excited to check it out.
Yeah, and that's what's great is that you understand your level and what you can do and what you can maintain, and that's what you do, and it's just kind of like you having the better awareness and understanding you are of knowing where you are and what you can do, you get a better response.
Right. Awesome. So what are we going to do first?
First thing we're going to do is go over the rower. All right, one of my favorite pieces of equipment. I think from a mental standpoint, I really like it because you have this little thing called a monitor that's right here. So if you're slowing down, it's just like someone talking trash to you in a sports game, and there's nothing you can do to get away from the monitor.
Right.
So we're going to first kind of go through some technique on the rower, and then I'll kind of have you do a little test to kind of see how much power you can create on it, and then we'll transition to the bike, and then we'll go through the workout.
Okay.
So let's hop on.
Awesome. All right.
So I do want to touch on technique. Everything has technique, and there's right and a wrong for everything you do. And that holds true to being on a rower, to riding a bike, and to running. There's technique involved in everything. Now, if you're not, that technique for each piece of equipment also needs to be learned and developed, right? So we're going to touch on the technique on the rower right now. If you've never sat on the rower before or done it, I'm not expecting you to all of a sudden, I say, all right, give me the max amount of power you can do, to all of a sudden have this marvelous technique. I just want the viewers to understand that there is a proper way to row, and that if you are going to implement the rower inside your training, then you should spend time to work on that. Just like if you're in a back squat, you wouldn't just all of a sudden walk in the gym and be like, oh, I'm going to max out on my back squat today. You're going to build that ability to do that. So same thing here. So if we touch on this quickly, first thing I would do is grab the handles. And now there's actually like 2-day seminars on rowing. We're going to talk about it for 1 minute. Right? So bear with me. Understand that I'm just going to kind of do a broad stroke of kind of how things should be. But there's kind of a little more in depth that you can get into it. First thing is the catch position. So you come into the catch position there. Catch position is when the handle's all the way in, you're folded over. Your heels can even be a little bit up if you want. If we talk about your chest, I want to kind of get your chest up nice and high. Think about getting your chest over the monitor. Some people say round the back to kind of reach in more. Some people say more of a flat back. My opinion is if you have your spine going through a bunch of flexion and you're not a professional rower, you can cause more stress on your spine for injury. So we want to try to keep a neutral spine if we can. The power comes from the legs. So what I want to have you do is keep your hip closed and drive through your legs. Once your legs open, you're then going to open the hip and pull the handles back. And on the way in, it's just the exact opposite. So now the arms will extend, you kind of fold over at the hip, there, and then bend the legs in to come back into the catch position. So things, legs extend, then hip opens, arms finish. On the way in, arms extend, hip closes, you fold in with the legs. So we're gonna have her do a few strokes just like that. Go ahead. So on the way out, you can have your legs extend. Once the legs extend, the hip will open, and then from there, the arms will pull in, okay? So Callie, let's just start rowing a little bit. And then like I said in the beginning, this is the first time Callie's ever been on a rower. So we'd obviously want to spend some time with her working on the technique in a rower. As she got more comfortable with the technique, we then work on intensity, and from there we work on volume. But for the sake of today, I want you just to kind of forget about that, and let's just start rowing. Go ahead, Callie, just start rowing. And we're going to pick up pace, and what we're going to do with Callie is we're going to go 30 seconds, and within inside the 30 seconds, I'm going to kind of see what her max wattage can be on the rower. So go ahead. And the second I see that wattage drop off, I'll probably stop her, even if that's under 30 seconds. So I'm going to have her drive a little bit more, a little bit higher, get that number up higher. You got more in you, Cal. You got more in you. Come on. Get that up to 3, get up to 3, get up to 3. And good, time, awesome. You can relax. So that's gonna give me just a good reference point for the workout of kind of what I want her to think about hitting. Again, because that's gonna show me intensity, meaning I know what her wattage is here, so I don't wanna give her some astronomical number that she can't hit. Now I know what she can hit. You can do that with wattage. I could also do that with just basic pacing. So if I have you row, kind of see what the fastest pace would be you can get to. And I'd say, okay, I want you to maintain that pace, okay?
Okay.
So let's do that.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Let's check out Callie's recovery time. Try to get that down to under 140 if you can. Under 140. Drive through a little more. Good, and relax. Awesome. The reason why I stopped there is because I was looking at the pacing and I saw that the pace started to get a little bit slower, so there's no point of having her drag it out.
So what does that mean?
That just means when we do the workout, I'm going to give you a pace to hold.
Oh, okay.
Not to be any faster or slower, okay?
Okay.
So again, that's just to help me gauge her intensity for the workout and give her a reference point of what it should be. All right, now we're going to come on over to the bike.
All right.
Good old assault bike. So if we talk about some quick positioning on the bike for Callie, okay? I'm going to first look at when the leg's in the full bottom position. Okay, I want to see a little flexion in the knee. So I don't want her completely extended, but I also don't want the seat so low where her legs completely bend. Because that, again, will put more emphasis on your quad, and this is going to burn you out really fast, okay? So that's kind of what we look for. Also, the seat on these bikes can kind of come in closer or they can go a little bit farther back. It's not really the most ideal kind of setup for proper body alignment inside a bike, but we want to try to move the seat up just to try to get a little bit more alignment between the hip and the complete bottom position of your foot when you hit the bottom position of bikes, just so you're not kind of like sitting back here and having all your pressure, you know, out in front of your body, right? From here, let's just start pedaling. Pedaling and moving the arms, go ahead. So same thing, keep going. I'm gonna have Callie go really hard on this bike, and I wanna try to figure out how many what's the wattage we can get. So go ahead, Cal. Faster, all out, all out, all out, all out. Get more. Get that wattage up higher, higher, higher. Right now you're at 650. Come on, that's 15 seconds in. Keep driving. A little bit more, a little bit more. Don't let the wattage drop. Try to get to 700. Come on, you're at 620. Didn't stop. It drops. It's not gonna happen. Okay, so we just got our 2 reference points. Okay, so on the rower, I'm gonna say, Callie, that we're gonna go 40 seconds on the rower. So essentially the workout's 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Okay, you're gonna go 40 seconds on a rower, maintaining a 148 to 150 pace per 500 split. So I'll show you where you can see that. Once you get on a bike, you can go 40 seconds on a bike, maintaining 500 to 550 watts. Because you got the max up to about 650. So what I'm essentially saying is that for 40 seconds, I'm gonna have you maintaining around 85-ish% of your max for each. Then when we rest 20 seconds, change apparatuses and go again. You ready?
Yeah.
Since you're here, we can just start right here.
Oh, perfect.
So we'll go 1 round, 40 seconds here, 20 seconds rest, 40 seconds on the rower, 20 seconds rest. How often do people, what kind of parameters do people use with this? 20, 30, 40 minutes, 60 minutes to take a break in between, maybe every 10-minute blocks.
Do like 40 minutes of this?
Yeah.
That's legit.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So the wattage is right there. You gotta get that to 500. Yeah, there you go, so stay right there. You're perfect. Go a little slower. Right there. Get it up. You're below 500. Get it higher. You're at 480 right now. Get it to 500. Drive through the legs a little bit more. Pick it up just a little bit. 10 seconds. Come on, Cal. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. On the rower. Okay. Strap in. Catch your breath. You have 20 seconds, 10 seconds left. Go. Keep that at 2. Get that down to 2. Right there. Try to stay right there. Slow down just a little bit. Yep. Usually legs. Think about legs, hips, arms. Legs. There you go. Sit right there. Slow down just a little bit. Find your pacing. Find your rhythm. Control your breathing. 15 seconds. Keep your chest up. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Back to the bike. So there's one round. What might be a workout? Again, if we do that for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe we go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So if I saw you pacing continually drop, I might change it to 30 and 30. 30 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest. Or even just change what I want you to hold. Maybe I'll make it a little bit lower, right? But yeah, there's another workout.
Yes, there was. All right, and there you go. That was a conditioning workout that you can do. And let me tell you, like I said, the majority of my cardio is steady state. So I don't get my heart rate up much doing cardio. That definitely was challenging.
Yeah, and like we discussed earlier, there's lots of different ways that you can adjust and modify it, whether it's changing the time parameters, changing the intensity, and kind of making it fit more of who you are and what you're trying to get out of it.
Right. And like Jay also said, focus on the form, but once you get into the movement, get something out of it. Don't worry about it too much. But you actually had a good quote that you mentioned.
Yeah, so there's kind of like this age-old Greg Glassman quote where when he's talking about intensity and form, he kind of relates it to having a lunch date. And if I was asked you on a lunch date, you'd say, well, do you want me to be at the right place or the right time? And it's kind of like, yes. So we definitely want the right form, absolutely, but you also want to make sure you get the magical component of intensity. But you don't want the form to be at a part where it could cause injury or harm, right? So you kind of want to walk a fine line with that and make sure you're doing things correctly and keep trying to get intense at your level for the workout. And that level is different for everybody.
Right, of course, yeah. So what do we have on the schedule for next week?
So next week, we're going to start mixing modalities. So we're going to do just 2 movements, We're going to keep it as a couplet, and we're just going to run and do what's called dumbbell thrusters. So it's going to be a pretty brutal combination, one of my favorites.
I like the word couplet.
Yeah, it's couplet's cute.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next week.